automate the entire recruitment life cycle for the startup employees. Our company started last year in September 2019, and the beta version of this website was launched on 1st of May 2020 this year. The day was a International Labour's Day. This masterclass series is a weekly learning platform to provide specific tips to candidate, recruiters, and startup founders as well. JobX is all about sharing the important insights for candidates that how we can improve as a candidate or as a recruiter. Today we are going to discuss on a very important topic which is about that how we can build our resume, what kind of LinkedIn profile recruiter look out for, and what do you mean when we say networking. All of us are aware that what kind of situation, what kind of era, what kind of world we are living in. So full of uncertainty, full of job insecurity. Many are friends, relatives, colleagues, acquaintances has already lost a job. Or maybe the future is again, it's unpredictable. You never know. So in this point of time, if you're living in insecurity, then what we can do to become future ready? When I say future, from perspective of a job seeker, if you have to find out a job in next 2 3 months, 6 months, then where to start? The first thing always we think that it's about resume. If it is about resume, then what kind of resume we should have? What are the things we should involve? As a candidate, we have few ideas, few information, but think from a perspective of a recruiter, what they look out in a CV, what kind of information they would like to see in your CV or maybe in your LinkedIn profile. And if you think that networking is the best way to get a job, then how to do the networking? That's again very important question. To answer some of these questions, today we have got Mr. Viswanath Raju. He's Global Head of Talent Acquisition at Axis Cats. Mr. Viswanath Raju has expertise in talent acquisition with over 17 plus years of experience in managing talent acquisition in product development and investment banking companies. He worked with companies like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Honeywell Technologies, and BPL Limited. By education, he is an engineer who has done double MBA, including one from IIM Bangalore. His recruitment experience is diverse. He has worked into bulk, niche, and executive hiring. He has taken care of the talent branding, candidate experience, and university relations as well. He's a visiting faculty in various IIMs and Tier 1 engineering and management institutions. And he loves to talk on the topics like future skills, design thinking, HR analytics, and Industry 4.0 with AI. He is also mentor to various firms and also part of advisory board over there. So it's our pleasure and honor that he is spending his valuable time with us, and he will enlighten with his knowledge. Now let's start the discussion about this interesting topic: resume building, LinkedIn profile, and art of networking. This session is structured into two parts. The first part will be where speakers talk will be there. Today, our speaker is going to use a presentation PPT. It will be for 15 20 minutes, and then it will be followed by question and answer session. Over to you, sir. The stage is yours.
Thanks, Umar Shankar. That was a great, introduction of mine. So, team, I think this is very, very important for all of us to understand why we have taken out time today, right? As Umar Shankar just mentioned about the context, we all know every opportunity that you have to grab, you have to have a great resume. We all know that. Now, what is in it? The great resume is what I think we will talk about today. And we will not stop there. We will also see that 70% out of the 80% of the recruiters are also looking at your resume in LinkedIn. We would also talk about how can you make a good LinkedIn resume. Then if you think we'll stop at that, the answer is no. We will also look at, okay, I've made a good resume. I've also made a good, LinkedIn resume. Let me see how I can do networking. At the end of the day, industry academics says that there is around 40 to 50% of the jobs in the industry are actually closed through referral, which means your network. Your network is going to help you to get your job, right? So let's talk about it. I'll just share my screen. So Umashankar, once you are able to see the screen, let me know.
Yes.
Okay, we all know your resume talks a lot. It determines whether, as a company, we should consider you or not, right? So you are a great person, technically very, very sound, academically very good, but you don't have a good resume, then just forget that you will get an opportunity or somebody will pick up your resume, right? So let's talk about it. How do we do that? Let's understand some facts. Many of the times, recruiters always feel that resumes are not formatted correctly or written properly, right? Quality of resume is bad, but the candidate is very good. There are times candidate is very good, quality of resume is bad, right? So I would want you to have whatever quality of person you are, that should come on your resume, right? Sometimes you importantly miss out on a context of what are your essential skills, right? What skills you bring into the table. How do I know if you don't put that? Sometimes some resumes don't even have it, right? So how can you expect a recruiter to understand what skills you have, right? And some of the research says that if you have a good CV, you can be hired in 10 days, which means CV talks a lot, as I was talking about. Talent shortage is the global issue. We are knowing it, but on top of it, if we are adding a resume kind of a quality, we will actually make it much more problematic for our future, right? So in today's world, a lot of recruiters are using AI-based screening tools, artificial intelligence-based screening tools. Sometimes they do not understand the CV the way you have represented, and they might go with the keywords based on the job description mentioned. And if they don't see that in your resume, though you possess that skills, you may not end up in that 10 or 15 people that the recruiter wants to talk. I repeat, there are some artificial intelligence based screening algorithms which are sitting on the applicant tracking systems. The moment when you share your CV, these algorithms are actually screening your resume. You may or may not possess some skills based on the JD. If you have not put that on your CV for various reasons, you may not be getting shortlisted for a call with a recruiter. So let's understand what are the basic principles, right? We all know we don't need to be told, right? So resume is a marketing tool. Every resume is a marketing tool, right? So what you are bringing to the table, bring it up. I'm a recruiting manager with 15 years of experience. Bring it up. Bring it on top of your CV. I'm a marketing person having 12 years of experience, and I do digital marketing for a company which is large internet company, right? Your accomplishments, you have done so many things. Put it up, right? Talking about responsibilities is good, but I think achievements will actually add a lot of value than responsibilities, right? I'm not saying that you would not add responsibilities. I'm saying that add responsibilities, but put rather, spend some time on putting some achievements. Action-oriented language, for something, for example, I've demonstrated, I've generated, I've targeted. These are the words. If you start using it, they feel that you are up to date and you are one of the persons that they should be talking about. There used to be a context of objective that I wanted to conquer my world. I would want to be good and all that. There used to be an objective statement, 3-line statement on the resumes. Most of the recruiters don't even see that. You can just take that out, right? Your experience and education has to be there. To have got lesser percentage in education, also I would suggest you to put that percentage, because some of those applicant tracking systems are tailored by percentages which are required by the company. And if you have got more than what you have, just because you have not put that, your resume may not be shortlisted, because it's a null factor for a algorithm, right? They reject it because you have not even put it, right? Organize your experience in reverse chronological order. The reason why we are asking you to do reverse chronological order is as soon as you complete your, brief profile and all that, put your current experience first and go back. The reason I'm looking at your profile is your current experience is more relevant to my profile, the requirement that I'm looking at. If you put that last, if you start that, okay, you are a Java developer, I'm looking at a full stack developer with 8 years experience, right? So if you put that in the front, that I'm working for Walmart, I'm actually a full stack developer from so and so, and these are my responsibilities or these are my achievements. That is where the recruiter will be happy about seeing that. Right? Most of the times, there is research says that any resume which is more than 2 pages, recruiters may not have interest to look at it. And do not use abbreviations which you know, which may not be known by industry. Right? Some of the simple abbreviations that you think are very, very cool, but even then you just put that. So let's look at what are do's, which is permanent inputs that you should be doing, right? Font has to be same across the resume. Double check your contact details. I will tell you an interesting example. I've got a good resume, I think a month and a half back. The person's email ID was wrong. The person never got an email that he is shortlisted. We were sending CV emails to the person never got any this, right? So look at the job, look at the details, which is email ID and contact number, double check that information. Every role is different. You are applying for a role in Java for Flipkart. You're applying for a Java a role in Amazon. These roles have little difference in the way that they are looking at. I'm not asking you to tailor your resume based on the JD. I'm not telling that. I'm telling you that you might have a lot of knowledge that you have. Portray the knowledge in the way JD is, right? So that the resume looks appropriate. Along with the CV, a good cover note will help. A basic cover note that thank you very much for considering my profile. I'm so and so. I bring in so and so. My detailed resume is so and so. I can be reached at that. So it's a good cover note. It will also help you personalization from the recruitment standpoint. Maintain same tense throughout the resume. As I said, max 1 to 2 pages, not more than that. Be honest. When I say that, what I mean is, if you don't know certain skills, it is okay not to put that on your CV than putting on the CV and getting a call and getting rejected for the same. Who are you trying to fool, right? You are trying to fool yourself, right? Then bullet point if you have some points that you want to talk about, right? You can use some punchy statements that I was able to manage a revenue of $2 million. You can do that, no problem. But ensure that the data is correct. What you have done is correct, right? Proofreading. Whatever you have done, do the proofreading. And my suggestion is, look at good friends of yours at your age group or maybe 1-2 years seniors to you. Show them your resume. They will give you a 360-degree feedback. They will give you a different feedback that you might not even thought about. Right? If you have some friends in the chat, nothing like it. You can just show them, ask them, hey, this is my CV. Do you think this is good? They will give you that feedback, and that feedback you have to encounter and you have to incorporate in your next level of resume. Now, this is don'ts, and as I said, don'ts. No way you cannot do these mistakes. Don't use capitals. It actually gives you an indication that you are harsh. Do not use pictures, logos, or graphics. Only picture that you can use is your photo, but otherwise don't use logos and graphics and all that. You will see that some people are using it, but it doesn't look good, right? Too much of information about a project is not required, because you need to understand that people will read your resume, understand your resume, but they will have to talk. So what you will talk if you have everything you put on the resume, right? No spelling mistakes at all, right? You might be a 10-year experienced person and you have done 2 mistakes in the resume, right? Now, as a recruiter, I may have a tendency that, okay, you don't even have a basic courtesy to make a good resume. Come on, how can I even call you for interview, right? Salary details at the resume level, not required. But if the recruiter asks you based on your next level of discussion, you can put that. Or you may want to put that in the cover letter. No resumes I have seen have salary details, and some resumes have salary details. Don't do that when you are not asked to. And reference details. You may want to share a reference of a person who is very good and known in the industry. We are not asking you the details now. All that we need is what are you, who are you, which graduation you have done, what are your skills, what are your competencies, what are your hobbies. That's all we want, and your experience rather, right? Try to avoid copying from other resumes. Sometimes it so happens that you copy the email ID, contact number, and you may also copy your name, right? Don't do that. Your resume is your resume, right? And sometimes you may copy somebody else's percentage, which is not your percentage of education. Don't do that. Prefer using word called me or I than we. The reason being, if you do that, if you do a lot of we in that, what happens is you are always a part of a project and you've never done something on your own, is what the understanding a recruiter would get. So try to avoid that. If you are a fresher, I can still fine. I'm still fine. But if you are 1, 2, 3 years of experience, you have to do I than we. Your email ID, you can have a good email ID, pretty decent email ID, but not email IDs like I love you at gmail.com or I want to talk to you at gmail.com. No, these are the email IDs which are non-professional in nature. A great professional resume with an email ID which is like, come on, this cannot happen. Photo, as I said, it is optional. You can decide whether you would want to do it or not, right? Few tips to get identified. How do you do this, right? So every role, as I said, is different, right? In some companies, you are called as software engineer. In some companies, you are called as engineers. In some companies, you are called as software developers, right? So, for example, you are made as a software developer. You are working for a company, and you are applying for a other company, which is looking for senior software engineer, right? So you need to understand that these terminologies are different. Understand those, research those. Put LinkedIn link on your resume. Just go to LinkedIn. When you go to LinkedIn, you can get an option of customizing your URL. You do that and you get an URL for yourself. You can do it for Twitter, you can do it for GitHub and all that, but LinkedIn is basic. Put that in that and put it in such a way that if somebody clicks on that link, it will directly go to your LinkedIn profile, right? GitHub, Stack Overflow, Dribble, if you have, nothing like it. Your internship skills also are very, very important. And certifications. Person like me and most of us, most of my friends, even when I talk to them at a global head of TA and all that, they always say that, Vishwa, I wanted to see a CV which has certifications beyond their education, not in the school. A certification from Coursera, certification from Udemy Udacity, certification from Manipal on machine learning, Java, something like that. It makes us think that, okay, hey, this person is interested to learn a lot beyond their education, right? Any work that you have done with CSR, like for example, any NGO and all that you have felt, for example, in today's context, you are helping a policeman or you are helping a local corporator building some technology and all that to help them. I think that will go a long way. People like us would want to see that. Okay, you have a inhibition of getting into helping people. I would like to hire that kind of people in my organization, right? And responsibility, skill learned, and accomplishments, you have to do that. You have to ensure that you put it. Mention only relevant achievements and awards. What I mean to say is, some companies would want to see some kind of achievements that you have done. So if you have some achievements in that direction, put that. And some awards, if you have got, put that. Certifications, if you have some certifications, please add the certification link or the certification name. And hobbies, if you have good hobbies, please mention that. Don't even worry about whether if I put it, if I'm a sprinter, whether it will be taken up or not. No, it is taken up. Don't worry about it. You can put about your sprint, your hobbies there. So this is like Edward de Bono's principle, right? This is a very, very important slide according to me. Be transparent. Your resume has to be completely transparent. Avoid irrelevant information which is not required in the resume. For example, responsibility of a project is half a page, right? Then how can you concise your resume in 2 pages, right? And please ensure that you also have something that you need to talk. If everything you put it on a resume, you will not have an opportunity to talk because everything else is there in the resume. Spelling mistakes, I said absolute no. Highlight your achievements and facts, academics and grade, and with percentage is required. As I said, some of the applicant tracking systems would look at your this thing and they shortlist based on the criteria given to them, right? And then last but not the least, very important, reverse chronological, which means the current experience of yours flashes first, then previous, then previous, then previous, right? Now let's spend some time on what is happening in the latest space on this. Okay, there's a concept of video resume, a simple concept. You can shoot a video of yourself 2 to 3 minutes talking about your family, your professional knowledge, certifications, and why is that you wanted to be had. A short video, just a glimpse of your resume, right? That is something that you can do it yourself. You can create it and use it whenever it is required. Some companies would ask you, and as maybe I think some companies have started asking you, but keep it ready with you. A good power dressing is required, right? And ensure that you have no distractions when you are taking that video, and do it as such. It becomes a little more professional. Text-based analytical sourcing, right? So what happens is today most of the applicant tracking systems are scoring your resume based on the job description, right? So here I would go back to the point that I mentioned to you. Whenever you see a new requirement, you know that all of that is done by you because you like that role, but when you go back to your resume and read it again, you will see that only 70% of that is written and 30% is missing, right? Somebody else who is of your same experience would look at that JD little better and add those aspects which he felt that is not part of the resume, and they will be shortlisted by the text-based sourcing scoring engine, and you will be rejected. You are the person sitting next to him, same college, same company, but he has got shortlisted, he or she's got shortlisted, you are not, because in the last minute he spent little more time in tweaking his resume on aspects of what job description is needed. Again, I'm telling you, if it means that you add something which you don't know, never do that. It's only about enhancing your resume with whatever you have done, which you have not put in earlier. That's all. Great to have is one page, but we all understand it cannot happen. So one page or 1.5 page or 2 pages is good enough. If you have some GitHub, Stack Overflow followers, put that. I have 500 followers. The moment when you put that, your resume has some bit of advantage in terms of others, right? So I repeat, video resume. You need to understand the scoring is done by an algorithm. So be prepared on that. 1 or 2 page resume and GitHub. Okay. So let's understand LinkedIn profile. Profile pic. I would always say a good professional photograph is required. While you may want to, show people that you are on a beach side and all that, it is good, but it may not be professional, right? It's up to you. Great headline, a punchy statement is required. Add skills and endorsements. When you go to LinkedIn, you will be given an opportunity to add skills like Java, Python, and all that stuff, right? Now, the moment when you do that, you can request endorsements, or the tool itself will ask for endorsements. And when I look at your resume as a recruiter, I will see that you have put in Java and Python as your skills, and 15 people have endorsed, which means that, oh, okay, this person knows this skill, right? Your connections are your future. Your friends and peers and seniors, don't take help of them to kind of enable your search. If you are not good at writing, at least appreciate somebody's writing in the area of interest of yours and slowly get interest in that area and start following that person. Maybe that person can actually help you to get an opportunity, right? Joining a group is fine, but doing something in the group, posting something or writing something or at least acknowledging something is very, very important. When you add skills and certifications, you can also look at the companies which are part of that kind of a skills and add those companies as your followers, right? So you can follow that company, right? Most of the internet companies would need Java full stack kind of a role, right? Now you're a full stack developer. I'm just taking an example, right? You can add all of those internet companies as you can actually follow them. The moment when you do that, when they post something on their internet, that data comes to you as a feed. Request recommendations and be honest about it, right? Request recommendation and ensure that the recommendation is actually pasted on your LinkedIn profile. There is an interesting concept called as recruiter alert system. Simple context, very simple. You can actually say or context yourself that I'm actually looking for opportunities. There are two types. One is open for opportunities, which is that you are currently working somewhere, but you're still looking at. There's another option where you can say that I'm not working, I'm actually looking for an opportunity. It's a system, it's an alert that you can create for yourself. When you Google on your LinkedIn profile and all that, you will figure out this. Another interesting concept is job alert system. When you keep applying few jobs, LinkedIn's machine learning algorithm will understand the profile of yours, will understand the kind of positions that you are applying. Then it will ask you on a particular day, hey Vishwanath, you've been always applying for data science kind of profiles. So do you think we should actually give you some alerts whenever this kind of requirement comes? You should go ahead and say yes. That's all. You will keep on getting alerts, right? So you don't need to do anything much about it, right? So you have to understand this little better. It's just not about creating one-page profile and keeping quiet, right? So as I said, LinkedIn recruit alert system and LinkedIn job profile, job alert system. Go ahead and do that. Art of networking, the last topic, right? First of all, you figure out 10 to 15 companies that you would like to follow. And those are the companies that you would like to join in future. Add them in LinkedIn or anything. Your college seniors, reach out to them, tell them that I may need your help in either getting mentored or getting help in terms of your job. Your work colleagues, you have worked in Infosys, this person has now joined Cisco, that person can be your help, right? Mentors and chat and follow. So if you start, attending some mentorship sessions and all that, and if you are able to answer some of the questions of the mentor starts getting interest in your profile, and you ask mentor that, hey, do you think you can recommend me in your company? I see a job opening of full stack developer. Can you recommend me into that? He or she will definitely do that. Role model follow, right? So you will have to have one role model, right? For example, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, I would like to become this person. So follow them, start, talking to them, understand how they can help you. Reading articles and comments. So some of the articles that are interested in, that are something that you are interested in, read those comments, read those articles, and also comment them. When you comment them, all your people in your network will see that, and you will make new connections. I would suggest write smaller articles where a lot of people will say, thank you, it was a good article and all that. And whenever you see somebody very senior saying that it was a good article, then you can actually get latched onto that person and say that, hey, thank you very much for accepting or, acknowledging the article. But I do a lot of these. And I also see that, Amazon, where you're working currently, has a role of data science. Can you help me? They will be open to help. Connecting to the recruiters. Now that you have figured out that, okay, these are the 10 companies that I would like to join, you can connect to the recruiters. The recruiters will be more than happy to accept your connection. So I've given you a 360-degree way. It's just not about your seniors or your friends and all that. These are the things that you can do. Okay? So Here we go. I think I'm done. Soma Shankar, over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was lovely speech, and I would say the lovely points you have covered in your talk. Few specific, areas which you have spoke about is about CV, what to do, what not to do, LinkedIn profile, often ignored by most of us, and then networking. First, I would like to come to this networking part. You have given a 360 view and few tips at how we can improve. Now the everything is forcefully online. This context, online world, how network is different than an offline world which we are more familiar with. What we can do now, which was not happening earlier.
Okay, so earlier what used to happen is, whenever you see some interesting person, you would say, "Hi, I would like to meet you," and all that, and the person says, "Yeah, we can catch up," and then we used to figure out a coffee shop and all that, and we need to talk and all that stuff, right? So that is not going to happen, right? Now, you need to show interest in why you are talking to that person. Most importantly, the reason why you are trying to network with that person. If you are genuine enough, I'm sure today morning I think I got some 7 LinkedIn connections asking me to give me some 10 minutes to talk to them and understand how I can help. I said, okay, fine. So I've given some 6, 7 slots to them and I've spoken to all of them, right? But what is your problem and what is that you are trying to seek help from me? If you can put it across, most likely they will help. Second thing is, there are times that, see, LinkedIn says that any person in the world is connected to you in the last 4 lines, maximum 4 people, right? So I don't know, somebody, but I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So that through that connection you can go, right? So, but you also need to understand how can you start adding connections for yourself, right? So for example, I'll give you an example, right? So if you feel that 10 companies, like, I'll just take an example of my favorite example, Flipkart, right? Flipkart is a company that I want to join. So what stops you to uh, add 15 to 20 software engineers of Flipkart in your network? 10 of them will respond, 3 of them will answer, 1 of them will call you. It's good. You got your this thing. But if you add only one person, maybe he or she may not even respond to you, right? So today's world, we are all glued onto this thing called laptop or mobile. Try to see how we can network. And I'm saying network is net worth for you. On a particular day when you need something, just go on to your LinkedIn. You will have 13, 14 people who can help you in that. That's my answer.
So in this context, from a recruiter's, perspective, I'm also, recruiter like you. So we get so many connections, connection requests on LinkedIn, on Facebook, everywhere, wherever people find out that, okay, these guys are into recruitment, maybe he or she can help me into getting a job. Now, from a recruiter's perspective, there is a random person who is sending me request. I have just accepted, and the next moment, in next 1 hour, in one day, I'll get a CV with the information that I'm looking for a job change and please help me out. So for a candidate, he has approached, one person, maybe 5%. But as a recruiter, we end up getting 50 odd requests in one single day, 50 odd CVs in one single day. And we end up becoming irritated with this, that what to do? You are just a stranger, you have just added me, we have added each other, and then here is your CV. So, and now if I do revert on that, you have done that, that's a very kind of you, but not many recruiters are familiar or comfortable, they simply ignore it. Now from
Yeah.
candidate perspective, they feel like that it's not working, so
Yeah.
this
So
is
I'll
the
give you an example.
deadlock. Well,
I'll give you an example, right? So don't do this randomly. Okay. If I'm a recruit, if I'm a candidate, this is what I'll do. For example, you work for a company like Amazon, right? I feel that I've actually requested you. for this thing, what is it called, LinkedIn request, and you said yes, right? The second email will go very specific. It says, "Hey Umashankar, thanks for accepting my request. I've come across very interesting jobs in your company, especially the job ID number 10444. Be specific to that. I think I have almost 85% to 90% of my capabilities in that. And I've also applied to the role. I would want your help in considering my profile, and it would be great to connect with you." Right? That is more specific. And these 10 people who sent me that invite are those specific people. I will also, randomly, if somebody asks me, I will also. So that is what happens. So be specific. And I think one of the points that I mentioned, be very specific, right? And that will make them understand, okay, he has taken some time. Okay, this person has gone into my internet and gone into my job site. Let me give an opportunity. Then he will pick up the phone and talk. Right?
Perfect, perfect.
So for a recruiter, I'm also seeing that the candidate is coming on this thing, right? So I would rather close the position, right? So maybe I'll talk to 3-4 people, but yes.
Yes, so do your homework before reaching out to recruiter and
Yeah.
talk on a specific term that okay, this is what I want and I think that you have a job. Don't assume that a recruiter will act as an agent for you and they will search a job for you.
Got
That's
it.
very
Excellent.
difficult to happen. Okay, now on this LinkedIn stuff only. Now many candidates have this tendency of just copy pasting their CV. I mean, there is it okay, or do we need to do something else? The points mentioned in your CV and the points mentioned in your LinkedIn profile should be same or different.
So I would say LinkedIn has a different format of the profile, and the resume formats are different. But I think 60% of the format is similar, right? Be it skills, be it something to do with your knowledge, responsibilities, and all that. But what LinkedIn adds is your recommendations and endorsements that you cannot have on resume. I'll give you an example. On the resume, right? Okay, so I'm looking at a data scientist. I'm Amazon. Okay, you don't know that Amazon was looking for a data scientist. You have a resume in your inbox. You are the great candidate for me, great candidate. But your resume is your inbox, right? How would Amazon get to know? So if you have put your resume similar to what your resume looks like and added the skills on LinkedIn, if I search on the internet and if I figure out that, yeah, you are actually 70% suitable, I will call you. So you don't need to apply. So for example, if you feel that a lot of people apply and get a call, no, those people will not get a call. People who are sitting there somewhere, trying to do something else, they will be getting a call because they are more relevant. They are not applying to the roles, right? These are all passive candidates. Industry is looking for passive people, not active people. Nothing wrong with active, passive, whatever it is, but yes, that's how it is. So if you can replicate your resume to a maximum extent, at least on the skills part, if you can do that and get little more endorsements, your actual profile is no more required. LinkedIn profile can take care of all that stuff, right? And LinkedIn is a more professional site today, right? So I think that will take care of that.
So making CV, I mean, relevant. That reminds me of for one point which you have talked about the ATS or applicant tracking system. Now, I mean, I mean, beginners who are not familiar with this term, application tracking system is a software many companies has got where you are supposed to upload your CV. So, I mean, there are a few things, I mean, like Telio is one, and there are many softwares which companies has got. Their idea is that we will get CVs in filtered way, and then those silos can be, I mean, tracked upon. Now, in this online world and this, I mean, post COVID-19, the situation will be more going towards the automation. Share more tips about this ATS things and how to make CVs more relevant so that they can go through. One thing you have already, I mean, talked about is the customization of your CV depending upon the JD. What kind of customization you meant when you said that?
Okay. So, for example, let's assume that there are three opportunities lying on a table. One with Cisco, another with Honeywell, third with Bosch. All of them are looking for Java developers, right? But in Cisco, a lot of database concepts are also required. In Honeywell, front-end technologies are required. In Bosch, back-end technologies are required, right? Now, luckily, you know all of it. Luckily, right? Now, what you will do for Cisco is you only focus on those things which are required by the company. There are other things you will put it, but not relevantly, kind of thing. When you come to Honeywell, you will put only those things which are relevant to Honeywell. So the moment when you do that, the applicant tracking systems look at your resume and take a look at the entire resume, and then they say that okay, Java has done this project and he's used these technologies which are relevant, and they score your resume 80-85% scoring, and anything which is more than 70 or 80%, recruiter tends to call you, right? When recruiter calls you, you anyway know all that stuff. You can talk about it. Now, you have put everything, right? It's like a jack of all. ATS is not very, it's not able to understand what kind of profile you are. Tendency of they rejecting you and shortlisting something which is not as good as it can happen. So take a look at the entire JD in such a way that each line item, understand what is expected from them, and ensure that your resume talks about it. And I also mentioned to you, do not copy the JD and just make it for the sake, because you may get a call on an interview, but you will get rejected, right? So you know what your skills is, and more importantly, if we go back to the other methodology of mine, forget about resume for some time. You need to understand if 10 companies are hiring, what is very common? Java. What is second, third, fourth? Can I learn 5 things so that at least 5 companies can hire me? Instead of resume, all that is fine. Umashankar, we can manage that. You can learn all that stuff. But yes, in the entire 100 companies, 50 companies are hiring these skills. These are the top 5 skills in the companies are hiring. How do I rate myself? Okay, if I'm rating myself low, then you have an opportunity to learn. If you're rating yourself high, then you have high chances to get into. As simple as that.
So this, resume part takes me to the video, resumes. Now this is, talk of the town that video resumes will be very popular. Everybody needs to learn the art of making the video, resumes. Still, many candidates feel like that they do not have the good communication skills. They are not presentable, and more importantly, they are not familiar with this video resume kind of thing. So, what's your views that how the adoption of video resumes, not by the employers, I think employers would love to have it from the candidate side. What are the things we or society as at a large needs to do so that more candidates are comfortable with it?
Yeah. So I think good question, Umashankar. I think this is important according to me. Sometime back, we didn't even know that there is something called as video interview exists, but we are getting comfortable. Now you see that. Let's take an example of 2 people. Exactly 5 years back, you and me, we were not comfortable. Okay, but 4 years, later, you started learning something, and I stopped wherever I am, right? Then you started understanding how it can be done. 4.5 years later, you've become little more proficient, and I'm still there where I am. On the 5th year, you've become expert, and I'm still where I am. On 6th year, you will find out something for yourself. I'm still where I am. So, technology adoption is no choice but to adapt, right? Now, if you are not presentable, we have to be presentable. There is no other option. If you don't think that you have a good communication skills, learn that, right? So there is nothing stopping you. But yes, there will be inhibitions. There will be some kind of shy feeling and all that. But do you want to lose an opportunity because of that? If answer is no, then start learning, right? You will have your friends who have done it. Ask them what they have done. And I have always, been, learning along with my friends actually. You may be ahead of them, but you will learn a lot of things from them. So learn that it's okay. You make a mistake, fine. Third, fourth shoot, you are done. And then you have, these gadgets are not free, costly also. You can actually do it on your mobile, right? Do it on the 10th version, that's okay. But what you will do on the 10th version is you would have been more confident. You are more looking at eye to eye contact. Your body language is better. And that's where one of the point that I mentioned to you. Take suggestion from your friends or your family members. They are like your mirror, right? The best person is your mother. I always go back, right? Ma, am I looking good? I have a good today's meeting. No, this shirt is not good. Why don't you change it, right? So we all know that. So these are all people who are next to us who can help us. But yes, I think if you feel not comfortable, at least this is the time, because you will not believe, Uma Shankar, I'm doing some research. Once this pandemic is over also, since we have been habituated to this kind of a thing, there will be no mass interviews and all that. Some 100 people, 150 people coming in. All people will get habituated to this kind of a model. So if you are not getting habituated now, you will lose a lot. So get used to it.
So we are also anticipating this at startupjob.in, and what we are doing is that we are arranging virtual weekend drives. So it's like that on a particular weekend, we can call all the candidates on a Zoom call, 100, 200, 500 candidates, and then we can make separate rooms for the different companies. Then different companies can interview their candidates over there in a group discussion on any other way. So that's, I mean, one of the idea which we are also working on, because we are also anticipating that 500 candidates coming in your office might not be repeated in future. Going ahead, you talked about the cover letter also. Now, a standard CV, you spoke that 1 to 2 page. Now, in this email world, do you still feel that recruiters has got time to read cover letter when the recruiters flaunt that they have got only 90 seconds, 60 seconds, or 45 seconds to view CV? Do they really have time to see a cover letter additional attachment as well?
Okay, so cover letter, when I said that, I was talking about in the body of the email, right? My mention. And there are times I look at one or two sentences of the body of the email that makes me to look at whether I should look at the CV or not. So if the body of the email is, for example, I'm a recruiter who has never done hiring on data science, and in my future also I will not do data science hiring. I get a data scientist CV. The moment when you say data scientist, I'll not even look at your resume. Either you have not done your job well, I will anyway not do, because I'm not. So when I said that, I talked about being a little more personal, having the 2-3 lines that this is what it is. And when I see that, okay, this is a role, and this cover letter can also have something like, hey, I've also applied to this role on your applicant tracking system of job ID and all that. Then I'll be more interested to look at the this thing. So cover letter, see, senior level hiring, right? In senior level hiring, what happens is resumes are 4-page, 3-page kind of a thing. Cover letter talks about their crux of their knowledge, right? So there's 1-page bio is what we call. So that helps there. But for freshers, email content on your body of the email along with your resume will kill it all.
Good. So now we are coming towards the end. Now I wish to have a forward-looking statement from you in terms of what kind of future trend the industry is going to see, recruitment industry. What kind of changes we are going to have in next maybe 1-2 years, 5 years? I mean, for example, we spoke about resume. So what are the other things which we are likely to see in near future?
So AI will take a long step. Right from resume sourcing towards recruitment marketing, towards screening, ranking, assessments, HackerRank, HackerEarth, and then candidate engagement. All of that will become virtual, right? That is one. Second is, you will also see that there will be some algorithms which will be able to help recruiters to unearth some of those CVs which were never in the thought of their mind. For example, I can get a, and there is a, I think Google CEO already said that next 2021 onwards, he would want to hire people from any corner of the world, and they can still get the work done on them. So you will have people from different countries who would be, also adding your profile listing to you. That is one. Last but not the least is gig workers. This is a big thing which is happening. The companies have now understood that the work is not almost 8 hours kind of a thing, and why would I pay 15 lakhs to this person? So per day it is more of 3-4 hours kind of a thing. So let me get somebody at 6 lakhs kind of salary. So that is also kind of happening. So it is important for you to understand these trends. More important to know the virtual world very well, because I don't want you to lose out on that just because you are not aware. Somebody else is aware and then they actually will make a big out of it. You should be aware of that. But yeah, AI is the future. But I always believe that artificial intelligence coupled with human intelligence is the future.
Thanks a lot. So we had a very delightful exchange of thoughts, and I personally have learned a lot. And we are in touch. And earlier also, you have shared so many valuable information with me. Thanks a lot. It was a very learning environment, and in which the various good tips have come up. And I'm sure that candidates and recruiters, both of them will learn that what are the things we can take care of. So thanks a lot, Mr. Viswanath Raju, for
Thank
joining
you.
our masterclass JobX series and sharing your expert advice and tips and how we can build your resume, LinkedIn profile, and the art of networking. So thank you very much,
My pleasure.
and we will come up again next week with another master with another topic. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Shankar. Take care.